I appreciate you once more. And again, this is the Institute for Higher Consciousness. I am your spiritual guide, Regina L. Stillman, and I'm so glad that you joined me on today. Now, on last week, we began talking about being able to understand that many times when we're in the birthing process, that there are a lot of things that come out with the baby. Whether it is liquid, whether it's solid, whether it's blood, whatever the case may be, there's a lot that can tend to come out along with that baby. Today's teaching, I'm going to kind of give an experiential teaching on today. And if you'll stay with me, I still want to continue along this idea of the process, because as I said on the last week, a lot of times in our teaching, we do not acknowledge and address the fact that so many things are in a process. We talk about being pregnant with something and having a baby, but one minute we're pregnant, the next minute we're having a baby, and there's no discussion about what all happens in the process in between. So we touched on that last week. Out with the baby, not only does the baby come out, but you're also going to get high emotions from that pregnant mother because her hormones are moaning, those hormones are raging, those hormones are going through at such a high level, at a peak level, that that state of emotion is highest and heightened during that time. We talked about, again, the idea of when you push, and when you're pushing out that baby, there's going to be pain, whether they do an episiotomy and cut the area so the baby can come out, whether it's just the natural stretching of the area to be able to produce that baby. There's pain that goes along with that. Cutting of the umbilical cord, there's pain that goes along with that. Blood, there's that element of all of that mess, if I can call it that, that is involved and activated during the birthing process. It's not a clean, simple, cut and dry scenario. Even if you have a C-section, it's going to still involve a lot to it in the process. So as we're talking about birthing, as we're talking about it's happening, and it truly is, and understanding that we are in that place of birthing forth the new thing in the earth right now. Even on yesterday, in yesterday's stream, it just ended up being one nonstop ministry stream, where we really didn't get an opportunity to really talk about our normal formatting. But, it was just one of those powerful, powerful streams where the Spirit was just there throughout the entirety of the stream. And what was it that the Spirit kept telling us to be understood? That our flavor would open the door to the favor, and we just have to be ourselves. But that coming forth and being in a position to receive what God has for us, that's very, very critical. So as we look at all of that process, and it's happening for sure, it's happening. We are the ING crowd for certain. That place of knowing that God is working and birthing in us. And then we talked again, even from the standpoint of, it's not going to be a matter of the caterpillar, the stages, the caterpillar, the cocoon, or really for butterflies, actually chrysalis, the caterpillar, the cocoon, the chrysalis, onto the butterfly. Once that butterfly comes into the state of being a butterfly, it does not continue to reflect back and go back to the state when it was wrapped up in the cocoon, nor that prior state of being the caterpillar, because that metamorphosis is complete. And what God is doing in this right now is a complete work. Please believe me. What God is doing right now is a complete work in us. So you're going through all these processes, you're feeling all of these things. What I want to kind of bring into the picture today is the understanding that you don't have to be afraid. You don't have to be worried about the process and not being able to complete the process. Sometimes you can get in the middle of something and be like, maybe I'm in too deep, or I've bit off more than I can chew, or whatever the case may be. This is bigger than me. It's beyond me. No, it's not. God knows exactly what you can handle. God knows exactly what God put in you. And it was for the purpose of bringing it to pass as a full-born, healthy baby. So I want to kind of alleviate any stress or any worry that tries to pop up as a result of the process. And I understand when you're in that process and you're not really sure what all's going on. Many of you echoed on last week after the session or during reclaiming the text that this was a perfect conversation to have on last week, because you found yourself in a place where you're wondering what's going on. So any place that I can bring some clarity and help you to understand the process and be able to see it for what it is, that's what I want to do. On today, I want to kind of deal with the piece of the puzzle. I said if I was going to name this session, it would be the dress and the yes, the dress and the yes. So after we're coming into this place of the birthing, right? It's happened, but there's still process. And once more and again, I want to continue to reiterate, think about a baby in a baby's process. Whenever you start to feel anxious, whenever you start to feel anxiety, whenever you start to feel worry or concern about your process and your ability to complete the process or what's happening in the process, I want to encourage you to just reflect back to the reality of what happens in an actual baby's process. So today I want to deal with, last week we talked about pushing out the baby. We talked about the messy discard that needs to be cast away after the baby is born, and not getting confused between getting confused between the brown stuff, the urine, the blood, the placenta, the afterbirth, not getting confused between that and seeing that and experiencing that and getting confused as to what's going on with your baby. Everything's fine. Everything's normal. It's a part of the process. So today I wanted to kind of touch on this idea to take it one step further after the baby's out. And many of us are, we're at that phase where we're at that place where we're out. We know we're out. Initially, there's that point of getting washed up. Again, as I said earlier, there's the place of cutting off the umbilical cord because it's no longer needed, and it has provided and given you the supply and the source of life that you needed from that mother in that place in the womb. But just like that caterpillar, you no longer need to continue. You're not going to crawl back up in your mama's womb. I don't care how much you want to get back up in there. So some places and spaces we're in for a moment, but we can never go back to those spaces. We can never go back to those spaces. We can never go back to those places. I'll never go back to being a caterpillar. I'll never go back to being in a cocoon. Understand what I'm saying? I am that butterfly and I'm flying, or I am that baby and I've been birthed out of my mother's canal. I can't go back up in there. So now that we're out and we understand I'm going to get washed up, they might even have to shape my head a little bit. It might be a little bit deformed, definitely cut the umbilical, but I want to take it even one step further. So say we're out now, we're out. As I said, if I were going to name this, I would call it the dress and the yes, because there are going to be things that are going to happen in your journey that are going to begin to test and see how well you're adapting to this new environment. If I wanted to put it in an analogy format, I would say it would be like when we start immediately, one of the first things the babies are going to want to do, other than sleep from having that traumatic experience of coming out of the birth canal, they're going to want to eat. They're going to want to eat. So as you understand, you begin to ingest and then digest the mother's milk. You begin, and that milk becomes your life-sustaining force for a period of time. That milk becomes a life sustaining force. You don't just come out and automatically start gobbling down meat, right? We talked about the spiritual doula on last week, who also is helping to deliver the baby. And I shared with you, many of you are going to identify there's a spiritual doula that's present in your life to walk you through this journey. I'm going to say that doula is still going to be in position even as you come through this phase right here. And so, spiritual thought leader, what phase do you want to talk about today? That eating that the baby does when it's first born, that's almost all it does is eat and sleep. Eat, sleep, poop, eat, sleep, poop. That's about all it does. Eat, sleep, poop. And you're going to find that in these early stages of being out, we're going to be just like that baby. We're going to eat, sleep, poop, eat, sleep, poop. So at the end of the day, good morning, KK. Good to see you. At the end of the day, I want you to understand that there's going to be that element of process going on in your world as well, where it's going to seem like, and for me, I want to define and describe that sleep state, kind of like that place where you're wrapped up with God, that place where when we talked about anchoring your core, it may not involve and engage a lot of other people. It may just be you and God. It may be you in your quiet place. It may, for me, it's always in nature and around some water. Or sometimes just here in my room as I'm just meditating or just thinking on different things. That place is where I'm sleeping and I'm just replenishing and getting my strength. And I'm growing and I'm developing, and my organs and everything that's vital to me that needs to happen is being formulated and growing. And now that I'm in this new place, after all of the time of being in that womb, after all of that time of being covered in the protection of my mother's belly, now I'm out. And so I want to say, for those of you, and that's really to many of you, Renee, loving your life, come on in here, good to see you. There is that element of now that God has pushed you out. God has pushed you out and you're now in this new environment, and you're no longer in a sack of fluid. You're actually breathing air. You understand what I'm saying? And let's go back to the elements that we talked about in the foundations. When we start going back to the elements and begin to understand, okay, I'm no longer encapsulated in this sack of fluid. I no longer have this umbilical that's connected to me to provide me the nourishment that I need. Now I have to take and ingest the nourishment myself, or else I won't get any nourishment. That umbilical serves me no more purpose. And my mother can no longer give me the food that I need by that umbilical. I've got to drink it. I've got to swallow it. I've got to digest it. So this place is a new place. And so I want to encourage you. I know it's new. It's new for me too. Let me just be clear. That's why I said I just wanted to share, even from a testimonial facet today, about the dress and the yes. So it's new for all of us as we come into this place. So don't be alarmed, because it's part of the process. And that's why I wanted to cover it, so that as you're walking through this journey, I want to help alleviate some of the stress and the worry that would try to come upon you as to whether or not, am I on the right track? Am I, what? I want to keep breaking this down so you can see it from the process. So that baby takes in that milk, that baby nurses. Now, again, I want to come back to the idea that nourishment, that milk that baby is taking in from that mother, or that I'm going to keep going back to the spiritual doula that's also assisting through your journey right now. You're drinking up everything you can get. You're soaking it up. You're soaking it up. When your spirit is out and about in the earth, you're sensitive, you're listening, you're soaking up, and different things and different times, the spirit will kind of tap you on your shoulder and be like, pay attention. And you start just like a sponge soaking it up. That baby will ingest that milk, and that milk that is providing life to that baby At the point in time that, we put that little diaper over our shoulder or blanket over our shoulder, and we put that baby up on our shoulder and we pat their back. And why are we doing that? Because we pat the back to get all of that gas out of there, because we don't want the baby to get colicky. We don't want the baby to start cramping from gas. We want to get that gas out of there. So I want you to, again, in this process, understand that even after you've ingested and you've eaten up all of the things that are for you to ingest during this phase of your journey, there's going to be times when that doula is going to come, that spiritual doula is going to come, put you over their shoulder and begin to pat you on the back, and you're going to burp, because you got to get that gas out or you're going to get colicky. You got to get that gas out or you're going to start hurting and screaming and crying, because there's gas in there that needs to be released. Now, not only are you going to get gas out, but the reason why we put that diaper or that blanket over the shoulder is because we understand that as we're burping this baby, some of that milk is going to come back up. So be it well understood, even in this process, some of that milk is still going to come back up. Come on, KK. It's uncomfortable, but it's needed. Some of that, yes, the very essence of what is sustaining you and giving you life, some of that is going to be spit back up because it needs to come out. Now, as you get into this process and understand that you're in that burping process and some milk is going to come back up, I want to use it from the analogy of my experience about this dress and the yes. So we've been talking about we're under an open heaven. We've been teaching that, as Dr. Dady said, 6 months or more, we've been talking about we're under an open heaven. God is doing new things. We're talking about it's happening. We know that we've been birthed out of the birthing canal. We know that we're no longer in the comfort, if you will, the security, if you will, the safety, if you will, of the placenta in that mother's womb. We are now actually in the earth, and we're ready to do what it is that God created us to do. I'm ready to do what it is that God created me to do. I want you to say that. I'm ready to do what it is that God created me to do. One more time. I'm ready to do what it is that God created me to do. So you're taking in the milk because you're still in the process of a newborn. You're taking in the milk, you've ingested it. Now, this was my situation. We're talking about we're under an open heaven in all of this, and we're taking it in. We're talking about how God is getting ready to pour us out blessings, miracles, signs, and wonders, all of these declarations that we know to be true, and it's happening. But you'll still have little elements of burping, of gas, of something that needs to get out of your system. Now that you're in this new place, in this new phase, you'll find yourself in a place where you spit up a little bit of the milk. Yes, that nourishment that has been poured into your system. You're still working your intestinal system, your digestive system is still working to metabolize all of that and to break it down appropriately. So you get that spit up, and that's why the doula, your spiritual doula, is going to see it. They're going to identify it, and they're going to burp you. I wanted to interject this today because when you start burping, when you start passing gas, when you start spitting up, I don't want you to be alarmed. This is a part of the process that the baby goes through, but it's healthy. Hear me. This is a part of the process that the baby goes through, but it is healthy. So as I went through this past week, my family decided they wanted to surprise me. They wanted to surprise me with a special birthday event. So we started on Thursday. It was really 2 days that they tied into this event that they had planned as a grand finale at the Symphony. So the first night we went, and first and foremost, they went to a store that I'm not familiar with. know about it, heard about it, not uncommon to the reality that it exists. It's not somewhere that I shop because it's typically outside of my purview. So I don't pay it any attention. I know it's there, but God bless them. So the minute we walk in the store, and I started eyeballing and looking around and seeing some things because they wanted to get something special for me. They just wanted me to have something that I liked. Get something that you like. We want to give you something new before we go to the symphony. So I walk around and I see two different items that catch my eye. One is a beautiful black fly suit. That suit was gorgeous. It was a different design. It was everything that I like in an outfit because I want something that's different. I want something that I'm not going to see walking down the street on the person next to me. That's the way I like to be. I'll get it from vintage. I'll get it from consignment, but I like to do and see what nobody else is out there wearing. That's what I want to get. Now, so I looked at that but it was black. And I was like, I'm coming into my 59th year. I'm here. This is my last year in my 50s. Next year's my big 6-0. We're going to do it up. I don't want black. I want some color. So I look over and lo and behold, this dress catches my eye. This dress catches my attention, and I'm like, whoa, I love this dress. It's a beautiful orange. People think it's red, but it's actually orange. If I can call it hot orange, I don't know. Dress with the no sleeve. It had one sleeve in and the other sleeve was nowhere to be found. The whole other half of the dress is nowhere to be found. Good morning, John Studios. Come on in. This is an open session of Institute for Higher Consciousness. And so thank you for coming in today. We're just sharing some nuggets. But back to the story. I saw this dress. I loved this dress. SK8843, good morning to you. Come on in here. One reason, good morning to you. This is an open session of Institute for Higher Consciousness. So come on in, take a seat, and enjoy the teaching. So this dress, back to the story. This dress, I loved it. And I'm gonna just be honest. I loved the dress. I really did. Right off the bat, there were no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I loved the dress. What I didn't love about the dress was the price tag. And because, hey, maybe y'all got it like that. But, my thing is one of the first things I'll do when I come in is I stop and I look at that price tag to see how much it is. As a matter of fact, for this kind of store, typically what I'll do, I see you, Michelle Brown. Oh, come on in here. Usually what I'll do on this type of a store, I'm going to go straight to the reduced rack. I mean, it's like when I come in the store, I know where the sales rack is for the reduced merchandise because I'm not getting ready to pay full price for not in these types of retail stores. Those sticker prices send me into sticker shock. So needless to say, I looked at this dress and went straight immediately into sticker shock. Now, mind you, I'm preaching and I'm teaching. We're under an open heaven. I'm preaching and I'm teaching. These blessings are about to overtake you. I'm saying every day in the lion's den, get ready, get ready, get ready. Eyes haven't seen, ears haven't heard, hasn't even entered into your imagination. It hasn't even entered into your mind, the good things that God has in store for you. I see you, SK. It's hot and the shoulder meats and the thigh meats were showing. Yes. And so it's like, because again, this is a new iteration of me. We're not trying to do that old STL. This is a new iteration of me. So at the end of the day, it's like, okay, but the iteration isn't only the look. The iteration is to release my mind from the limitation of cost. I said something right there, and somebody else needs to hear this. The change was not only the change from the look, it also was addressing the change that my mind needed to undergo from the cost. And not only from the cost, but also from the standpoint of receiving, because some of you are givers. You're constantly giving, you're constantly giving, you're constantly giving, but you don't know how to receive. You're uncomfortable receiving. As a matter of fact, when I finally, so we went on Thursday and I eyeballed the dress. I said, oh, no way, y'all. No way. No. When I saw, and it was just strictly sticker shock. I promise you. Anything else about the dress, we walking out the store with this dress. But that ticket, that sticker shock was like, no, ma'am, no, sir. Now, I got in the car and I said, okay, this was the agreement we made. We'll go to a consignment shop. We'll go to, because I love consignment. I shop consignment. Ain't no shame in my game. I will shop consignment. Very nice, gently used clothes that I otherwise could not afford, that I can get at a reasonable price that I can afford. No shame in my game. And still looking for that item that everybody is not walking down the street in. I'm not trying to see everybody in the same outfit that I have on. But this is where I had to burp. I had gas, y'all. I had the gas. My doulas had to put me up on the blanket, up on the diaper, on their shoulder, and pat me and get that gas out. You understand what I'm saying? They had, yes, the gastrics. I had to get the gas out because I still, my system, my digestive system was still struggling with this idea of receiving. My digestive system was still struggling with the idea of, I'm going to pay full price for that. Number two, let's deal with the reality. I wasn't paying full price for it. Somebody else was. And let's deal with that there is someone that's wanting to bless you and you're telling them no. You understand what I'm saying? There's someone that's wanting to pour into you and you're telling them no. There's someone that wants to feed into your ministry, if you will, and you're telling them no. And it was like, this was a litmus test. And so I want you to get that in your mind. As you've been birthed, there are going to be different areas that you're going to come to in this new phase and in this new place. That's going to be a litmus test. So this was a litmus test for STL. The dress. Can I get a yes? So I went home and I had 3 of my doulas and they were on me like ugly on an 8 in a very loving way, but they were on me like ugly on an 8 because this is what you've been talking about all this time. And the blessing is finally on you. And as one of my doulas said, you're blocking your blessing. Wow. I had to really think about that. I'm blocking the blessing that we've been talking about all this time. Therein, as I shared on yesterday in our stream, I didn't go through all of the story, but I told you in the stream on yesterday, God's got an open heaven and he's raining down on you. And some of us raining down on me. And some of us are coming out in the rain with galoshes, with a rain scarf, a rain cap, an umbrella, a full force, a water sled. I mean, we come out fully in anti-rain gear and start walking around in the rain that God is pouring on us. So the Lord said to me, he said, listen, the dress has to be a yes. The dress has to be a yes. And this is all about the internal working of me coming out of the mentality and the mindset. Didn't have any problem with the new look. I didn't have a problem with that. But if you want to listen, I tell you what gets close to STL, listen, when you start talking money and money, you're going to get me right there. You're going to get me right there. And it's that if you're not ready or if you're not prepared for the blessings to come in all ways, and for some of you, it's whatever it is, fill in the blank. You know what your area is. For you, it may be something else. And I have a few areas, but money is one of them. So it's like until you pass that litmus test, and when you get to those places where, guess what? That Thursday night rendezvous at the store, at that high-end retail store that I'm not accustomed to, that was my litmus test. And I ingested the milk, but my doulas had to pat me on the back so I could pass that gas and burp up, get out of my system the milk that I could not digest. You understand what I'm saying? So that I would not be in a state of colic. So I would not be in a state of pain. So I would not be in a state of discomfort. They had to gently pat me through that phase and help me spit up that I could not ingest and digest. They had to pat me on the back and help me spit that up so I could be well. So when I listen and I observe where many of us are in this journey, we've been birthed. We talked about being able to understand when we push, that push is going to also push out some urine. That push is also going to push out some fecal material. That push is going to also push out the afterbirth and the placenta and all the blood and everything else that goes along with that. And that for a season that has kept us, protected us, and allowed us to live and have life and grow is no longer necessary, and it must be discarded. It must be. You can't take the placenta with you. You can't take the umbilical with you. You can't, and you sure don't want all of the different urine and the fecal material that's also coming out with that push. You've got to have that doula, and you've got to have that ability to have that doula clean up and separate the two and be able to cut that umbilical and have a good, healthy baby. Now, we've got past that point. Okay, now I'm telling you, for some of you, you're going to be in a position just like I'm addressing here. You got to be able to accept those blessings. You're going to find yourselves, because it's a new place and a new thing. And it's not just materialistic things either. So let me be clear on that. I'm not getting ready to go into this is all about materialism. For some of us, it's some very simple things that are internalized about our character that God is healing us from and helping us to be able to move on to. Some of you just need to learn how to receive, period. Some of us just need to know I don't always have to be the giver, and I don't have to be uncomfortable when somebody wants to give to me anything. I'm not talking about materialism either. I mean, some of us are uncomfortable. Help. Some of us are uncomfortable when somebody just wants to offer us help, because we're so acclimated to being the helper. We're so acclimated to being the doer. We're so acclimated to being the performer that when help comes to us, we don't know how to accept help. You know what I'm saying? So some of us need even compliments. Some of us that have not seen ourselves in a healthy way. Some of us that have been traumatized by things that have happened in our lives. Some of us who have not had compliments and have not had people say nice things to us, but rather we may have been those ones. Yes, when I grew up, I heard Little Black Sambo. When I grew up, I heard Tar Baby. When I grew up, I heard all kinds of stories about being a bone. Even a dog wants some meat on the bone. Stick, skinny, mini. I heard all of that. Buck teeth Bucky, all of these different things that we hear, and four-eyed, whatever, and we hear this repeatedly over and over again. And then we don't hear anything to counteract what we're hearing over and over again, and you start to believe the madness. Some of us need to learn how to just be able to receive compliments and receive even from yourself, not even from outside of you. Some of you need to learn how to receive a compliment from yourself. Some of you may need to learn how to enjoy being with yourself and loving yourself and having a good time with yourself, genuinely, not going through woe is me, I'm by myself, and bemoaning it and just struggling. And can you be happy with you? Can you love you? Love yourself first every day. Can you compliment you? Can you be happy with you? So come on, John, because there's so much good in you, sir. the power that you are, the power that you are. You are a lion, and we're going to hear you roar. So to have that ability to be able to receive that. And so for you, that burp, and I'm not just singling John out, but I'm saying anybody that finds yourself in some of these areas, your burp may be when you hear that, you feel yourself. You know what a burp and a throw up is? It's regurgitation and pushing back or pushing out that's inside. You're pushing it back outside of yourself. So somebody's trying to give you a compliment and you're burping it or you're spitting it up. You're pushing it right back out. They're trying to, really bring you into a place of love. They're trying to bring you into a place of helping your confidence. They're trying to speak that into you, and you're constantly pushing it back, pushing it out. That right there, as we talk through this process, again, recognize you're a baby. You're okay. You're okay. Even though you may have burped, even though you may have spit up, you're okay. It's part of the process. Keep going. Just because I had a little bit of spit up this time after I ate, does that mean I'm not going to feed next time because I burped up? No. Because I passed gas? No. Because I spit up? No. Next time that breast rolls around for feeding, I'm going to eat. And that's where a lot of times in our process, we will withdraw because I burped, I passed gas, I spit up the last time. I'm not going to do it again because I don't want to mess up. And listen, it's not a mess up. That's why the doula, and I keep talking about your spiritual doula, that's why that doula has that blanket or has that diaper there so that if you do spit up, there's something to catch it. And there are times if you ever, and I know you mothers have seen this, fathers as well, where it's not just a little bit of spit up. It's almost like everything they ate came back up. Everything they ate just came back up. But then again, even if that is the case, you don't not feed the baby the next time. The baby doesn't stop eating because because this is one thing that you'll find even in people as they're throwing up, there's still some nourishment that's still down in there. There's still some good. There's still some sustenance that's still in your system. It may look like everything came up, but there's still something that's still in your system that can do you some good. So, even in the throw up, if it's a full blown throw up that you feel yourself going through as you're coming in to this spiritual journey of the new you, that's okay. Because guess what? You got spiritual doulas here. You've got mothers here. You've got fathers here. You've got spiritual oversight here that's here to help you get whatever. There's a reason why. If all of it came back up, maybe there was something wrong. We're going to identify what that issue is and we're going to get you well. But you will survive. You will live. You will thrive. You will. And this is why today I really wanted to stop, because again, as Dr. Dady talks about in engagement matters, and many times she talks about pivoting past the discord. These are the places of discord that I want to talk about, because again, oh yeah, I'm pregnant. And then next thing you know, I got a baby. And we never address the reality of those processes that we have to go through. But listen, Adam and Eve were the only two that came here fully grown. Understand me. Adam and Eve were the only two that came here fully grown. Everybody else has to go through process. So I just want you, and there's my alarm. We're time to reclaim the text. But just understand, the one and only Keisha Key. There's my sunshine. Come on in here today. We're having an open session of the Institute on today. So come on in and join us. So again, why do I say that? Because so many times our expectations are, I need to be fully grown. And no, you're going to go through processes. Hear me. You're going to go through processes. That dress and a yes was my litmus test. And it was probably one of many until I get that digestive system where it's able to tolerate all of it, or until, whatever needs to happen to address it. Sometimes we got to change formula or whatever the case may be. But until I can get to a point where we don't need that litmus test anymore, guess what? That litmus test is going to keep coming until I pass it. So the dress and a yes, that was a litmus test that I'm grateful that I passed that one. But am I oblivious to the fact that there's going to be another feeding? There's going to be another burping. There's going to be another passing of the gas. There's going to be another spit up, and that's okay. And that's what I came here today to really tell you, is that it's okay. And so this is why I wanted to talk about it, because again, many times we don't talk about the process when we hear people teaching us. And it's like when I'm in process and these things are happening, but nobody's told me about it, I start feeling uncomfortable and I start feeling like, man, I think I'm jacked up because I'm feeling this. I'm thinking that. I'm experiencing this. I'm experiencing that. And we go through all these different things mentally, spiritually, and emotionally because nobody told us about the process. So today I wanted to stop and just talk about the process, because I want you to remember, again, you're birthed. We talked about it last week. You've been birthed, but now the baby, you still got to drink the milk, and you're still going to sleep a lot. You're still going to spit up. You're still going to pass gas. You're still going to pee in your diaper. And that's okay. And I don't know how much I can keep encouraging you in this process that it's okay. DJ Lady Rasta, J Trey, good morning to you all. Thank you for coming in. And this is an open session for Institute for Higher Consciousness. And we're just wrapping up. And my thought for today was the dress and the yes. I had to go through that. I had to go through a dress and a yes for my litmus test to pass moving and passing into this new space in this new place. And with that, my alarm has already gone off for reclaiming the text. And with that, you can continue to talk over here. And I appreciate everybody that's come in Twitch. Those of you that are in Discord, you can unmute yourselves and go ahead and talk. John, I'm so glad that you're here this morning. I love you, sir. There is so much in you. And there is so much power in you. And listen, the words that were spoken over you or not spoken over you, because I do understand sometimes it's not about what somebody said. Sometimes it's about what people don't say. And then even if, as I said, I heard Little Black Sambo, I heard Tar Baby, I heard Skinny Minnie, even a dog wants some meat on the bone. I've heard all of that. So at the end of the day, you go through those phases. And if you hear that and that's all you hear, but you don't hear something to counteract that, there is a problem. And so whichever way that comes, I want you to hear from me. The hand of God is on you. You are so mighty. You are so powerful. There is so much to who you are, and it's not about what you do. It's about who you are. You are just a powerful and mighty man. And I want you to get ready for an open heaven. I want you to feel confident. I want you to feel sure and assured. I want you to feel loved, because definitely the Lion's Den loves you. I love you. I want you to feel that you have the ability to reach the unreachable. You have the ability to do all that God has assigned to your hands to do, and I'm going to say it as I always say, eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, John, the good things that God has in store for you. And so if you came in here this morning and you heard something and you felt like I was talking directly to you, receive it, because God's doing that in you. And you are birthed. It is happening. And it shall not be aborted. But what God has done, he that has begun a good work in you is able to complete it in you. It shall be completed. And I want you to believe that with all your heart. It shall be completed. And I appreciate you for coming in. And that being said, talk Tall Pumps is here, and today is her birthday. Today is Tall Pump's birthday, and so we just want to love on her this morning. Happy birthday to you, Tall Pumps. I didn't know if I was going to see you this morning or not because I knew it was your birthday, but we want to touch on that. Fairly All Day, my dearest friend, happy Saturday to you, and good morning to you. This, again, is an open session of the Institute for Higher Consciousness. And with that, I'm going to kick back. Anybody in, and you know how you can do it over in Discord, go ahead and unmute yourselves. If you have anything that you want, Tall Pumps, you're not in Twitch, but they're giving you happy birthdays over here, sis. So much love coming to you. I love you, man, John Jam. I love you. I love you. And it's okay. And I'm gonna say this about the tears and the crying. I want y'all to understand many times that's how God is cleansing and the purging, and it's okay. It's quite all right. It's quite all right to let all of that out, because with those tears, there's a cleansing and a purging that goes along with that. Please believe it. There's a cleansing and a purging that goes along with that. And so even as you walk through journeys, and even as the pains have been there, even as the hurt has been inflicted, this is a time of healing. This is a time of healing. And what I heard in my spirit, reverse the curse, reverse the curse. That is exactly what God is doing in you, John. It's a reverse the curse. I don't care what was spoken, reverse the curse. It's not so. It's not so. It is not so. As a matter of fact, I'd be so bold to say, if they told you wasn't going to be nothing, it's because they know you're going to be something. It's going to be the exact opposite in reverse. But it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, whatever was spoken to you, whatever you heard, whatever your ear gate heard, whatever your eye gate saw, I want you to reverse the curse. Reverse the curse, because it is null and void. It is of no effect. And you are the mighty man that's going to come forth. Believe it, believe it, believe it.